my god, am I really gonna spend that much money, like hundreds of euros or dollars on food? And the answer is good morning everyone, it's Marie. I'm really excited to be here today because this is part 2 of my series on how to save money when grocery shopping, so I'm really excited. I want to say thank you to Laura who left a really nice comment on part 1 of this video. I'll have it linked down below. She said that it was very useful to her, so I'm hoping that part 2 will be at least as helpful to you guys. But I'm just gonna put you down because my arm hurts, so let's set you up here. All right, yes, you're very comfortable here. Very good. Yeah, so I'm very excited about this video. Food can be really expensive, and you know, until you actually have to buy your own food and it's not your parents who buy it anymore, you don't really realize how expensive it is. And then when you have to like do your first order, you're like, oh my god, am I really gonna spend that much money, like hundreds of euros or dollars on food? And the answer is yes, absolutely. So it's always a good way to save money if you can save money on food. So if you haven't seen part 1 of the video, again, I highly encourage you to go and watch it because it's kind of, you know, the basics. So then once you have this, then you can watch part 2 and it just makes more sense. I also want to say I'm really excited because we have some nice light going on, and I'm actually filming in front of the window for like the first time ever because it's usually too dark for me to do this. And I usually have to have, you know, the artificial lights. But today it's actually nice. So I'm gonna film this video and then we're gonna go on a walk. So I'm really excited. Alright, so my first tip on how to save money when grocery shopping is to do your grocery shopping for at least a week at a time. In my experience, it is one of the biggest money waster to do your grocery shopping for like a couple days at a time. I think that the more time you spend at a grocery store, the more you're gonna be spending money. And if you have to go to the grocery store every other day or, you know, like a few times a week, I think it's too much. And I think it's because you're not organized, and it's gonna make you, you know, get more tempted. You're gonna spend more time at the grocery store, so you're gonna maybe, you know, want different things that you don't really need. You're gonna be buying things that maybe don't go together, so it's gonna be harder to plan your meals, and all of this together is gonna make you lose money. So I would highly recommend to, you know, plan your weeks, plan your month, so you have dedicated days where you can go to the grocery store or where you can order online. And honestly, in part 1 of this series, I was talking about ordering online and how convenient it is. If you do order online, it's really easy to order for like a couple weeks at a time. And it's really nice because once you've spent that money, you're not spending, you know, any more money on food until 2 weeks later. Whereas if you go to a store every other day or every couple of days, then you're going to be spending money like all the time on food, and it's really hard to track how much you spend then, because it's just money you keep spending, and you know, it's hard to keep track every day of how much no one does this. I think it would be ideal to do that, but I don't think anyone really does it because no one has the time to do that. So it's just really hard to track how much you spend, which usually leads to us spending more, and then you get carried away in the store. You're not really prepared, not really organized. It's just messy, and it's a big waste of money. So I would highly recommend doing your grocery shopping at least, you know, every week or every 2 weeks. That way I can assure you you'll be saving money. Now, one tip that has been the most helpful to us, it's actually to plan your meals ahead of time. So what we usually do now, we don't really do it anymore just because we're used to it, but at the beginning, you know, I would sit down, I would write down the days of the week for like 2 weeks, and for each meal, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I would write down what we were gonna have. So I don't know, like, you know, breakfast eggs, and then lunch like a salad with salmon, and then dinner pasta or something. And then that's really helpful because you can make your grocery lists with all the products that you need for all these recipes, and then you're just very organized. So then when you go to the grocery store, you have your list, you can go, you can get exactly what's on your list, nothing else, because you don't need anything else because you've already planned everything that you need. So why would you, you know, get tempted? Why would you get carried away into buying something else, because you know that with the food that you're already buying, it's going to cover all of your meals, all of the snacks that you need. So if you buy more, it's just going to be a waste of food. So having a list, sticking to it, going to the grocery store, buying what's on your list, and then leaving the grocery store is going to save you money. It's going to prevent you from getting carried away and spending money that you don't actually need to be spending. Now, if they could stop honking for no reason, I would really appreciate it. Alright, so now you're obviously a very organized person. You're gonna go to the store, get exactly what you need for all your recipes, and you're never gonna miss an ingredient. Yeah! Well, that's not true. Sometimes it happens that, you know, you want to make a specific meal and you realize, I forgot this, I didn't buy this, why didn't I think of this? Well, it happens. And my tip is to actually get creative. Instead of going out and going to buy what's missing and spending more money, try to do with what you have in your kitchen. So, for example, this happens to me all the time. I always want to make a French quiche, and to make a French quiche you need bacon, little pieces of bacon, and sometimes it just happens that we don't have them. So I always have little cans of tuna in our kitchen, just because we like them. They're very handy to have because you can kind of use them for a lot of different things. So sometimes I just replace the bacon with tuna, and it's just as good. It works really well, and I'm not going out and spending more money. So I really encourage you to be more creative with what you already have, so you don't have to go out and buy something else or more food that, you know, you weren't planning on buying anyway in the first place. Another tip is to actually redefine your meals with cheaper food. I feel like this is, you know, the first thing that people usually do when they're trying to save money on food, is they're trying to buy cheaper food, which makes total sense. It's very logical, and it's a very good tip, to be honest. And even though it's a very basic one, I feel like sometimes we're really tempted with, you know, more fancy foods, or trying to recreate foods that you would have at a restaurant, especially right now when you can't go to a restaurant. Sometimes simpler is better, and when you redefine your meals, you can use cheaper ingredients to make a lot of different types of meals. So, for example, yes, because I love examples, I think it's just a lot easier to understand the tips when there's an example, so there you go. Eggs. Eggs are very cheap, and you can turn them into a lot of different meals. So for example, you can have hard-boiled eggs, which are very good. You can either eat them with like tuna, or throw them in a salad. Like, it's just very easy to make, takes no time, takes no skills really, and it's just easy, it's just good. With eggs you can also make omelets, you can make egg burritos. There's like lots of ways that you can use eggs, and you can have them like a few times a week, and it's cheap. It will do you like a full meal, and it will keep you full. So it's a very good alternative to other food that are more expensive. Now, another thing you can do to save money on food is to buy more generic brands. And yes, thanks to advertisements and TV, we have it in our heads that, you know, more marketed brands, more famous brands are better quality, but it is not always true. I have a little story to tell you. But before I do, I just want to say, just because a brand is famous or, you know, looks better on the shelf, it doesn't mean that it's better quality. And sometimes the simpler packaging, the simpler brand, you know, the more basic product is actually just as good, and sometimes even better quality, and sometimes it's like half the price. So it's a lot better for your budget to buy the generic brands than to buy the more famous brands. So for example, another example, the other day I was ordering online and I was buying fish fingers, and the fish fingers I was buying were really expensive. They were like €7 for like 20 fish fingers, and I was like, this is like basic food, how is it so expensive? So I went on the website and I typed fish fingers and I sorted it by price, and I saw there was this other brand that was half the price, you know, which is like pretty good. And I was like, oh, they have to be like, you know, crap. They have to be not really good. The quality must be kind of shitty. And so I clicked and I compared the product. The cheaper brand was actually a lot better quality than the more expensive brand. So that just proves that sometimes marketing is just really good, and we're just so stupid that we just go with it. Whereas we should think a bit more and compare be smarter, because we have the tools nowadays to actually compare really easily, and we should just get the more generic brands, because once they're in the oven they actually look exactly the same, so it doesn't really matter. So just to finish the story, the brand that was cheaper actually had way more fish in the fish fingers than the more expensive brands. So again, as I was saying in part 1 of this series, doing your shopping online really allows you to compare the products, and in that case it was really useful, because I don't think if I had been at the store I would have been, you know, comparing the little letters in the back of the box, etc. I would have just picked up the ones that I usually get, and so I wouldn't have saved half the price. So if you have the opportunity to order your groceries online, again, I would highly recommend that you do it, because you can compare really easily and it can save you actually a lot of money. And finally, my last tip to save money on groceries is to buy in bulk, but with a little warning, because buying in bulk can be really good, you know, when you have all these offers. I'm gonna put like in bulk and offers and all that stuff kind of in the same basket. So when you go to the store, you know, sometimes you can get 3 for the price of 2 or that kind of deal. And yes, it can be really good, but sometimes it makes you buy stuff that you don't need. For example, every time I order online, I always have this offer where you can get like 2 things of ketchup for the price of 1. But I'm like, what am I gonna do with 2 things of ketchup? I only need 1 for like at least the next couple of weeks, if not more. So I'm gonna have that other one, you know, sitting there for all that time, and I don't really need it. And sometimes, you know, all these offers that make you buy things that you don't really need, and the money you save now, you know, it's money saved. Like, you don't have to spend it in advance of later. You'll have plenty of time to spend it later. So I would just say take advantage of the offers when it's actually a product that you you know, would need, or you know you're gonna use. For example, I usually do like 3 things of meat for the price of 2, or same for fish. And that can be actually really good, because you can freeze the meat and like take it out a while later. So that can actually be a really good deal. If you know the offer actually saves you a lot of money by doing this, then I would say do it, because meat can be really expensive, and I know some people can't even afford it. So if you see that kind of deal, then I would say go for it. But other things like ketchup and like more like little things, I wouldn't really go for it unless I was like, oh yeah, we need it because there's so many people in our family. There's just the 2 of us. So we don't need a bajillion ketchups. Now, as far as actually buying in bulk, like I know in the US you have these big stores like, what is it called? Costco, I think, where you can go and you can buy like, I don't know, like 10 things of toilet paper or stuff like this for like a very cheap price, because that's what it's for. You buy a lot for like cheaper. I would say go for it, because obviously you're saving money and you can kind of like stock up on things. Toilet paper doesn't expire, so it's not really a problem. So I would say if you can take advantage of this, do it. But don't do it just because it's a good deal. Do it because you actually need the product. If you don't need them, then don't buy them, because that's money saved in your pockets that, you know, you're not spending, so it's better for you. And another thing about offers, just try to remember that it's not because there's an offer on one product that you can't find something cheaper even without an offer, because sometimes we see offer and we think, oh, this must be the best deal, you know, on this product, on this kind of product, on the entire store, and it might not be true. Just because one brand is having an offer doesn't mean you can't find the same or better quality done by a generic brand that's going to be cheaper. So always try to remember this and don't let them trick you, pretty much. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this video on how to save money when grocery shopping. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other tips that you want to give people and share here, then please don't hesitate to put it in the comments below. Also, let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you would like more tips of that kind, or if there's any other money saving tips that you would like on like a specific topic. So for example, this was grocery shopping. There might be other, you know, topics that you would like tips on. So please just let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.